All right, folks, brace yourselves because we are about to embark on a frosty expedition to find the best wheeled cooler. I'm not talking about the coolers you're going to find conveniently at the corner store next to the expired energy drinks and suspect hot dogs. I'm talking about the creme de la creme, the Rolls-Royce of coolers. So let's find out which wheeled cooler will take you on a ride to heaven.
Gear up and get outside.
In preparation for this review, I did some extensive research and I weeded out the cool pretenders. I tested these coolers extensively, putting them through tests, poking and prodding them to the extent that it would even make an airport security guard blush. I wanted to make sure that you could rest easy after you buy this cooler so that you don't have to await vengeful nightmares of coolers coming back to haunt you in your sleep. Trust me, I've had those. And before you go and holler about all the cooler brands I didn't include, like Kong or Ozark Trail, do note that I only wanted to include the ones that we have personally vetted and tested ourselves. These are the coolers we actually purchased or acquired in order to test them. These are all medium to large size coolers that represent a variety of construction types and price points. Now, in order to somewhat objectively rank these, I did two things. We looked at portability, because after all, if you're looking for a wheeled cooler, you probably want something that's easy to move around. We ranked these coolers from best to worst in terms of portability. The second factor is the Outdoor Empire score. This is a score out of 5 points max, and it takes into account the following things: ice retention, how long does it hold ice? 2, build quality, the fit and finish, the manufacturing process, and the quality of the product. Durability, how well does it handle regular use and sometimes a little bit extreme use. The next thing we account for is features. How many features, which are gimmicks, which are useful, all the frills, and we give it a relative score based on how many features it has compared to other coolers. And lastly, we look at customer service and the warranty. How good is the warranty? How long is it? How responsive is the customer service? So after looking at all those things and doing all these tests, here are the best rolling coolers. And after I go through all these, be sure to stick around because you're going to want to see how we tested it and some recommendations at the end. As much as I wanted to prove these guys wrong, our pick for the best overall wheeled cooler is indeed the Yeti Tundra Haul. There are many reasons for this. It is tough, it is durable, it is roto-molded, it is certified bear resistant. It also has some of the smoothest wheels of any that we tested. It rolls over all kinds of surfaces nicely. Hard surfaces are easy. Bumpy grass, it absorbs a little bit of that shock. It does well in the sand, it does decent in gravel. The tow handle is convenient and it's grippy. It has those handles that stick out to the side so it's easy to drag without it hitting your calves. It also locks in place when you lift it up. That was one of our favorite features. It's also easy to push when you need to push it. Yeti is also a noteworthy brand. Everybody knows them in the cooler world, and they provide a really good 5-year warranty. And one little detail I do like about the Yeti Tundra Haul is that it has the kind of drain plug I like. I've had problems with other coolers with a male drain plug and it leaks. But despite all the good things about the Yeti Tundra Haul, there are a few things I don't like. Number one is it leaks like crazy from the lid. So when it's full of water, when your ice melts and you're pulling it around, the water sloshes in there and it just leaks out the lid in these seams really easily. Now, coolers aren't necessarily supposed to be watertight, but when you're paying that much money, it sure would be nice if they are. This is also the most expensive cooler in this stack. While they have a great warranty, customer service is a little harder to get a hold of than other companies. The wheels do kind of rattle, and it's one of the heaviest coolers here. And finally, it just lacks some frills of the other coolers. It doesn't have a bottle opener. It comes with no accessories. There are lots of accessories you can purchase for it afterwards, like baskets and dividers and ice packs and things, but it just doesn't come with a whole lot. Now, if you want to spend quite a bit less money than the Yeti Tundra Haul, our pick for the best bang for your buck, the best wheeled cooler for your money, is the Arctic 52 quart ultralight wheeled cooler. This is brand new. I've had the chance to test it extensively in a little bit crazy ways, and I love it. The wheels are the best of any of the coolers we tested. When you spin them, the bearings are excellent. It goes forever. There's no axle that runs through. It's mounted to the outside, so you don't have any chance of getting that messed up or gummed up with sand or mud. I really like the T-handle latches. They're easy to open. I also love the tow handle on the Arctic because it's very ergonomic, easy to grab onto, doesn't hit you in the back of your calves. It's a quality handle made of aluminum that's powder coated, and it's soft close, and it locks in place so it's easy to push and pull. This cooler is also quite durable. I put it through some torture tests and it really stood up. It's got a little silicone net in the top of the lid, just a clever little feature. It's also got a bottle opener and some nice things like that. The Arctic hauls great on all surface types. It has respectable ice retention and they have fantastic customer service. They were the quickest to respond to an inquiry when I reached out anonymously. The Arctic has decent capacity and it rivals the Yeti on almost everything. But there are some things I don't like about it despite the fact that it took a beating well. Number one, it is not certified bear resistant. So there are some areas where that matters when you're out camping and you need that. I also don't like that it only has a 1-year warranty. It would sure be nice if it had a 3, 5, or lifetime warranty like some of these others. It's not roto-molded, so Yeti still has an edge on that. This one is more like injection molded or something, so a little bit cheaper construction. It has the male drain plug that I don't really love. But perhaps one of the worst things about it is that it also leaks like crazy when you're towing it around and it's full of water, just like the Yeti. So that's their biggest downside, but again, they're not necessarily designed to be watertight. Now, if you just want something that is cheap and functional, then our budget pick is the Coleman Extreme 62 quart rolling cooler. This thing's not fancy, it has no frills, no bells, no whistles, but no one's gonna steal it out of the back of your truck either. It's super lightweight, which makes it really easy to lift in and out of your vehicle. That's one problem with a lot of rolling coolers is that they're difficult to get in and out. The Coleman Extreme also has really good ice retention. It went for 6 days. That's better than what they spec'd it at. It has a simple wheel and tow handle design, but it's functional. It has really simple but useful handles, and it's convenient because you can find these in tons of retailers, so it's really easy to pick up at the store or order online. Coleman also has excellent customer service. When I reached out to them, they were very quick to respond. They were cheerful. They even had follow-up messages. And despite having no warranty technically, they said in the event that a lid warps or something, they would still replace it. So there's technically no warranty, but there kind of is, and they have great customer service. It's also made in the USA, which is very cool. The drawbacks of the Coleman Extreme are that it's pretty basic. It doesn't have many frills or interesting features. The wheels are okay on hard surfaces, but they're really not great for sand and gravel. You end up just dragging it, but because it's so lightweight, it's not as big a deal as that is on some of these others. The lid doesn't clamp down, it's not super tough, and it's definitely not bear certified. But when I kicked it out of the back of my truck, it kind of bounced and you really don't see any issues with it. That's why the Coleman Extreme is our top pick for an inexpensive wheeled cooler. Now, if you do a lot of fishing, especially fishing from the shore or surf fishing on a beach, the Igloo Trailmate is an awesome cooler. It's more purpose specific. It's not as versatile as some of these other coolers, but man, does it have a lot of features. It comes with 2 fishing rod holders in the back. It has a dry box attachment in the front to put your valuables. It has another little stash pocket in the front. It even has a tray that comes out of under the lid that you can set up to hold your drinks or lunch. It has a basket inside. It's 70 quarts, so it's a very large capacity. And the wheels are big. Now, they're not fancy wheels. They're not shock dampening wheels, but they are large. They're the largest ones of all, and it has a lot of ground clearance. You can see air underneath the cooler. That makes it easy to roll over things. So it's great on hard surfaces, but it's also great in the sand and the grass and gravel. It's not quite as smooth as the Yeti or the Arctic, but it is totally functional and it'll go upstairs and off of things just fine. And while retractable handles are not my favorite on wheeled coolers, this one is very simple and functional. It's like pulling or pushing a wheelbarrow around. It's very easy to move about. Just beware, when you load it down with gear, it's gonna get heavy. And a couple other little bells and whistles it has are cup holders, bottle openers, and these little hooks on the side for bungee cords so you can strap even more gear or a tackle box on top. Igloo also has great customer service. They responded within 48 hours. They were very friendly and helpful. It only has a 1-year warranty, but I trust that they would follow through on that. The biggest downside about the Igloo Trailmate is its size. It is big and bulky, and it's hard to fit inside anything but a truck bed. If I put it in the back of my SUV, it takes up almost the entire cargo area, so don't plan on taking much else. But if you got to pick up, it's not a big deal. Because of this size limitation, it also makes it one of the less convenient ones and less versatile ones to use for other purposes like camping. It's not bear certified, it's not super rugged. While it did stand up to me kicking it off the truck bed, it did take some bruises. For the price point, it's just not as rugged as some of these others. I would not be putting this on the back of a fishing kayak or even in a boat. There's other ones that are going to be better for that. This is the kind of cooler you just want to load up with gear for a day at the beach. Now, another cooler that is also great is the Monoprice Pure Outdoor 50-quart wheeled cooler. I was surprised by this one because it only cost around 200 bucks, but I was impressed by how well it rolled on different surfaces. The wheels are rubberized and of decent quality. It's also a little bit lighter and less bulky, so easier to move around than some of the other coolers. And it's really cheap for a roto-molded cooler. Even at half the price, ice retention was on par with the Yeti. The handle design is also similar to the Yeti and the Arctic, so it's easy to push and to pull. Does great on all kinds of surfaces. And it even has a bottle opener and a ruler on the top if you like that. Some things I don't like about this cooler are that tow handle is not quite as durable as some of the others. While it's the same design and makes it easy to tow, when I kicked it out of the back of my truck, it easily bent. The welds are weak. The handle is bendable. I just don't think it's going to hold up as long over time. The same can be said for other components. The wheels are fastened on just with typical lock nuts. It's not quite as durable or high quality of a design. The T-handles on it just look kind of roughly hewn. The fit and finish is just not quite on par with some of these other high-end coolers. The customer service is not that great. I reached out to them in writing and I never got a response, and it only has a 1-year warranty. The other cooler in this stack that I would consider a decent wheeled cooler is the Lifetime 65-quart high-performance cooler. Now this isn't quite as nice as some of the others. It's blow molded, but it's built and constructed like a roto-molded cooler, so it has lots of insulation inside. It held ice for just as long as the Yeti Tundra Haul. However, it's not quite as tough and durable, and the wheels are really just underbuilt for it. It would be a fantastic cooler without wheels, but those wheels are much like the cheap ones on the cheapest coolers up here, the Coleman and this Igloo MaxCold. So I don't think I would buy that cooler again with wheels. However, if there's a Lifetime store nearby you can get them really cheap in the store, I think for under 200 bucks. Or you can order it online for a reasonable price as well. The handle is good, but it doesn't lock in place, so you can't really push it. I do really like the latches. It's easy to open and close, and it is bear resistant certified. It's got bottle openers, and they have great customer service and a 5-year warranty, also matching Yetis. So it's good bang for your buck. It's just not the best wheeled cooler in my opinion. I noticed that the tow handle on mine is also showing some early signs of rust. The welds are pretty weak, so I don't think it's the most durable out there either. It has that awkward rope handle on the other side, and it's really challenging and awkward to lift, say, into the back of a pickup. A totally suitable cooler, just not overly impressive. Now here are a few coolers with wheels that I would not recommend. Starting with the Rover Roller. Now this might get some people's panties in a bunch, but I have pulled this thing around and I hate that handle. The handle is the worst. It's a retractable or telescoping handle. I have to jerk it up every time, and then once it is extended, it's super flimsy. It twists back and forth. Compared to the rest of the cooler that is roto-molded and very durable, the handle is not. Now it is bear resistant certified, and it's got tons of bells and whistles. It's got that cool tote bag on the top, and it probably has the smoothest wheels of any because they're pneumatic wheels. So on the beach, it's a dream to pull, except for that darn handle. Kind of takes the goodness out of those wheels. It has clearance and it goes over different surfaces fine, but with the pneumatic wheels, you also get the trade-off of higher maintenance. They could be punctured, they could go flat, you're gonna have to put pressure on them every once in a while, unlike all these others where there's zero maintenance to deal with. I don't love the latches on it, and I hate that you can't stack it, so it makes it more challenging to store. If you try to put this cooler on top of another, it sits all cattywampus, or those big tires get in the way. So it's just an awkward cooler to handle in my opinion. Ice retention was okay, it has a great warranty, but when I reached out to their customer service department anonymously in writing by email, I received zero response. So that was a disappointment. Probably better to call them. But to re-emphasize, I really hate that handle, and for that reason alone, I would not buy that cooler. The next cooler I wouldn't buy again is the Pelican Elite 45QW, or any of the Pelican Elites with wheels. I think this is a great cooler without wheels, but the reason I don't like it is because compared to the rest of the cooler itself that has really thick walls and is great, durable, roto-molded, the wheels are underbuilt. They feel like those red wagon wheels. There's a basic axle that goes through. There's even I swear they're the same caps that go on the end of the red wagons, except instead of being white, these ones are black. They're big wheels that go smoothly over most surfaces, but after it fell off the truck, one wheel just got banged up on the axle and now it won't even spin. There's no real bearings in there that I can tell, And because that axle is exposed, if you pull it through sand or mud or dirt, it's gonna get all gummed up. And I just don't think it's gonna last as long. It also somehow rides lower, so when you're dragging it across gravel or sand, you're literally dragging it, and it's this awkward cooler to drag. And the thing I really don't like about the tow handle is it doesn't have the extensions on the side, so you have to walk in line with the cooler itself, and so the cooler is bashing on the back of my calves every time I take a step. I'm 6'1", maybe it wouldn't do that for everybody, but it did for me. And you can't really push it the other way either, or else that handle buckles. I think it'll take a beating, but it's just not great as a wheeled cooler in my opinion. However, this is the only cooler with wheels that we looked at that has a lifetime warranty. That's pretty awesome, except that when I reached out to Pelican in writing, I got zero response, and it's been a couple of weeks now. I do appreciate that the Pelican is made in the USA, but I think it's overpriced for what it is. It's the most expensive cooler when you look at it in terms of price per quart of volume. It's the same price as the Yeti Tundra Haul, except the Yeti is bigger and the Yeti is more functional. The Pelican also has great grab handles, but it's just big and bulky and awkward to move around. And despite having really thick walls, the ice retention was not overly impressive. I think a bigger size would do just as well as a Yeti or some others. This size didn't hold ice as long. Last and least is the Igloo MaxCold Latitude 62 quart rolling cooler. The only things that are good about this are that it's cheap and simple. Everything else is bad, especially the handle. This is downright dangerous to pull. The first time my 9-year-old daughter pulled it around empty, half of the handle that you tow broke. Today, when I was doing some testing with it half full of water, the other half broke and cut my hand pretty good. I would not use this cooler. I think it would probably be fine without wheels, but that retractable handle is the worst. Hands down. Just don't use it. I see no reason to get it, except the reason I got it actually was because I was at Costco one day and there it was on special and it was cheaper than most, and so I grabbed it. I regret that. Don't buy that cooler. And now if you like these detailed gear review videos, you should subscribe to my channel because I'll be doing more cooler content as well as lots of other camping and outdoor gear. I go through a lot of effort and a lot of detail to try to make these very in-depth, and I hope it's helpful for you. So subscribe because you're going to want to see me compare these wheeled coolers to a whole bunch of other coolers soon. So a little bit about how I tested these coolers and how we came to the conclusions we did. As I mentioned, we look at several different factors in order to give it an Outdoor Empire score. And then of course I looked at the portability. So one of the things we take into account for the score is the features. We specifically looked at price, including price per quart of volume. Here they are in order from most expensive to least expensive. The Yeti and the Pelican Elite are both $450. We looked at the construction type, roto-molded versus injection molded versus blow molded, etc. We looked at the weight and the capacity. I weighed every single one of these on a scale because that factors into the portability. We looked at whether or not there are other sizes and color options, where they're made, whether or not they are IGBC bear resistant certified, whether they have features like rulers or bottle openers or cup holders, what accessories are included with them, what accessories you can add on after, the warranty, and then of course the towing handle or the towing mechanism as well as the wheels. When it was time to test the towability of these, I filled them each halfway to 60% full of water and I towed them around my house. This allowed me to tow them over grass, over a deck, up and down steps, through deep gravel, across grass, over a curb, on asphalt, pushing, pulling, and testing all the things. I looked very closely at the tow handles, very closely at the wheels, and since I don't live in California or anywhere on the coast, and I know a lot of you are probably looking for coolers with wheels in order to take them to the beach, I went and found a sand volleyball pit at a local park so that I could test out how these feel pulling them through sand. Now, as mentioned previously, coolers are not necessarily designed to be watertight, but it's kind of nice if they are, especially if you're paying a lot of money for them. So I took each cooler full of water. Besides towing them around, I just gave them good shakes back and forth, side to side, to see which ones leaked and which ones didn't. I was surprised that my two top picks, the Arctic and the Yeti, both leak quite a bit. They slosh around, and while that freezer-style rubber stripping around the inside of the lid does a pretty good job at keeping air out, it doesn't do a very good job at keeping water in. So it's definitely going to slosh. Whereas some of the ones that were the most watertight were the Pelican, actually. That one really didn't leak at all. That was impressive. Also, the Monoprice Pure Outdoor cheapo roto-molded cooler did great, and the Lifetime did great in terms of water tightness. In order to test the ice retention, I did an ice retention challenge with these coolers and more. I did this over the course of several days. I filled them each up with ice, put some beverages in there and a hot dog, and I measured many different data points. You should really watch the full video I did on that so you can get all the details and really understand how I came up with what I did and how I did that test. It was a very real world test, just like as if you were using them camping yourself. And of all these coolers, the Yeti, the Monoprice Pure Outdoor, and the Lifetime did the best, held ice for a full 7 days. Whereas the Arctic and the Coleman Extreme held ice for 6 days. Now, testing for durability is a little bit subjective. A lot of that is just based off my observation and using these things, pulling them around, taking them camping, things like that. But I did do a couple things like kick them off the truck. Interestingly enough, the cheaper blow molded coolers seem to scuff less. Maybe they just bounce more. The roto-molded take the deepest gouges, whatever kind of plastic that is, but still entirely functional, and everything works. And I really ran the Arctic Ultralight through the ringer, tone it around on a side-by-side. Now, a lot of these cooler companies offer some pretty good warranties, or at least they talk about it, so I really wanted to test what's their customer service like. I sent an anonymous email or filled out a web form to contact each of these companies. I was able to contact every one of these companies that way except for Yeti because I could not find an email address or a web form to submit. They did have chat support, but it was never working when I logged on, and I tried a few times. It appears they have a phone number. Actually, all of these companies did have a phone number, so maybe you could get quicker support that way. But especially if it comes to a warranty issue, I prefer to do that in writing, so that's why I wanted to test it like that. Arctic had the quickest response in less than 24 hours. Coleman was just as good. Igloo was pretty decent within 48 hours. Lifetime was also great. The companies I received no response from were Pelican, Rover, and the Monoprice for that Pure Outdoor cooler. So it's a little unfortunate that the most expensive cooler up here from Yeti is just harder to contact, and I imagine if you call them, you could get through to someone. So to wrap things up, whether or not you like the rolling coolers that I picked, some things you should look for in a wheeled cooler include the handle. Avoid telescopic or retractable handles wherever possible. I just don't like them. They're flimsy, they're prone to getting sand in there and just not working at all. 2 of the 3 here with retractable handles I really do not like, the Rover and the Igloo. I'd also suggest don't necessarily focus on the fanciest or the most expensive wheeled cooler. Now, the Yeti and the Arctic are great for pulling down trails, for pulling on the beach, but if I'm not going to be using it that much that way, it's probably not worth it. My wife tends to grab the Coleman Extreme the most often just because it's lightweight and convenient, and when you're just pulling it across the parking lot or to the park, that's a great option. So buy a cooler with wheels that you'll actually use because too much bulk sucks. I'd also suggest that you buy the largest capacity cooler that will still fit in your car. If you're driving a little passenger car, this Igloo Trailmate is out of the question. It barely fits in our SUV. But if you're driving a truck, then you can put almost anything back there. Buy the largest cooler you can that fits. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful to you. If it was, give us a like. And if you're wondering what to do next, you should either watch the Arctic 52-quart ultralight wheeled cooler review I did. That was a lot of fun. Or you should watch the 28 cooler ice challenge. Which one will it be? Which one are you going to click on? Which one are you going to watch? I know, what's a good dad joke I could put at the end? I had one that ChatGPT told me. I'm really tired of doing wheeled cooler tests. I've been doing it all day, thinking about it way too much. Wheels up.